My name is Ellis. The day we buried my father, my siblings buried me in silence. I let them. But when the will was read, the silence shattered. And not in the way they expected. He died on a Thursday, that part is clear. Everything else about that week blurs into cold air, stiff suits, and condolences so fake they made my skin itch. My family barely looked at me when I arrived. Marcus offered the nod you give a neighbor, not a brother. Danny didn't even fake a smile. My mother simply asked if I was staying long. I answered, just enough to pay my respects. She said, good. No hug, no warmth, just good. I hadn't seen them in 5 years, not since the night I left the house with a duffel bag, a cracked phone, and $73 in my account. I'd left because I was tired of begging to be heard, tired of being labeled ungrateful, dramatic, lazy. I was none of those things. I was just done. At the service I stood in the back, black coat and shoes, nothing fancy. I didn't want attention, I wanted goodbye. Marcus whispered to Danny, did you see who finally showed up? She answered, loud enough. I thought he'd be too busy failing. I kept my eyes on the casket. My father looked smaller, not only in the literal sense but as if the world's weight had finally slipped off him. The priest read psalms, my mother cried at rehearsed moments. Marcus clenched his jaw to look stoic. Danny dabbed her eyes like a movie extra. I didn't cry. I'd done my mourning years earlier when I realized the father I loved could not shield me from the rest of the family. Afterward, during the reception, I sat near a window with weak coffee and chicken salad. Uncle Ray approached and muttered, wasn't sure you'd show. I replied, wasn't sure I'd be welcome. He said Dad had asked about me more than he let on, and the words hit harder than I expected. Before I could answer, Marcus tapped a glass. Quick reminder, the will reading is tomorrow at Carter and Wallace, noon sharp. Immediate family only. He stared directly at me. I smiled back. Got it. The next day I arrived early and waited in the lobby until a young assistant led us to a conference room paneled in polished oak. Bottled water on the table. A gray-suited lawyer stood with a leather folder and tired eyes. Mr. Ellis left clear instructions, he began. No contest clause. If anyone objects, they forfeit their portion. Danny scoffed. How dramatic. The lawyer ignored her and read the standard items. Debts, taxes, funeral costs, then the house, the cars, the stocks. Marcus leaned back, confident. Danny smirked. Then the lawyer paused. There is one additional matter. Mr. Ellis's controlling shares in Ellis and Company, 51%, have been assigned to Ellis Warren. Silence. Actual, suffocating silence. What? Marcus barked. That's not possible. The lawyer continued. He left a letter. He unfolded a page, my father's handwriting unmistakable. To my son Ellis. I know I didn't always defend you. I know I failed to speak when I should have roared. But I never stopped believing in you. This company started with nothing, just like you did, and I can't think of anyone better to carry its name forward. The room dropped 20 degrees. Danny's face flushed crimson. My mother's mouth opened, then closed. Marcus slammed a fist on the table. He was gone for years. He doesn't deserve this. The lawyer remained calm. Mr. Ellis made his intentions very clear. I didn't say a word, I simply looked at the signature. His decision, not mine. And for the first time I felt less like an outsider and more like an earthquake. The room was still silent when the lawyer closed the folder. The only sound was the soft hiss of the air conditioner and the slow cracking of Marcus's knuckles as he tried to process what had just happened. He leaned forward, voice low but dangerous. You think this is fair? I didn't answer. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't have to. Danny finally found her voice. You weren't here, Ellis. You didn't take care of him. You didn't sit by his bed. My jaw clenched, but my voice was calm. You didn't return my calls. She blinked, stunned. What calls? The ones I made after I found out he was sick. The ones where I left messages. Sent emails. Letters. You know, all the things people do when they care. The lawyer cleared his throat, trying to defuse the tension. Mr. Ellis included a second letter, addressed to all 3 children. If you'd like me to read it. No, Marcus snapped. We're done here. He stood abruptly, knocking his chair back. My mother followed him wordlessly as always. Danny hesitated for a second, then stood too, but not before sending me a glare sharp enough to cut glass. When they were gone, the lawyer handed me the envelope. He wanted you to have this privately. I nodded and slipped it into my coat pocket. Then I exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. Later that night, I sat in my motel room, the envelope unopened in front of me. The room smelled like stale carpet and lemon cleaner. The kind of place you stay in when you want to disappear without vanishing. I stared at the envelope, the handwriting slanted but familiar. Finally, I opened it. Ellis, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I hope the reading went smoothly, but I doubt it. Your brother and sister have always wanted control, even when they didn't know what to do with it. I didn't leave the company to you out of guilt or pity. I left it because you understand what it means to be underestimated. You know how to build quietly. You know how to lose and still keep building. That's what Ellis & Company was built on. Not pride, not flash, not being the loudest in the room. It was built by listening, adapting, surviving. Traits you've had since you were a boy. I know I didn't protect you enough. I know you needed me to say more than I did. I'm sorry for that, truly. But I also know you'll do something incredible. I just hope you still want to. Love, Dad. I read it twice. Then again. And again. It didn't erase anything. It didn't undo years of being ignored, mocked, excluded. But it was something. A thread of truth I could hold on to. The next morning I returned to the house. My father's house. Now legally mine. It still smelled like his cologne. Still had the same photo of all of us by the fireplace. The same dent in the hallway where Marcus punched the wall during a tantrum when he was 16. I walked through the rooms slowly. Touched the walls. Let the memories rise. Then I opened the drawer in his office and pulled out the old binder he used to keep locked away, the one labeled projects. Inside were blueprints, pitch decks, early notes from the first days of Ellis & Company. Tucked between them, I found a letter addressed to the next leader. It wasn't addressed by name. But the first line read, "If you found this, it means you have vision." He really meant it. He really chose me. That's when I made the decision. I wouldn't just keep the company alive. I'd rebuild it. My way. Quietly. Intentionally. Without trying to prove anything to them. But before I left the office, I took out my phone and opened YouTube. Found the last revenge story I'd watched. Someone getting back at their in-laws by buying their favorite restaurant. I smiled. If you're still watching this and you've ever felt cast out by your own family, if you've ever been told you're nothing, useless, invisible, hit that subscribe button. Not just because this is Revenge Tempest where stories rise like storms, but because one day your silence will speak louder than their noise. Now it was my turn to build the storm. I didn't tell anyone I was staying. Instead of moving back into my old room, I chose the guest bedroom, the same one I used to cry myself to sleep in as a teenager. I'd wake up early, wander the halls, sip black coffee while staring at the shape of Dad's cane still leaning by the front door. That coffee helped me make the decision crystal clear. I was going to stay. I was going to fix this company, but I'd do it my way. A week later, I walked into Ellis & Company. The burgundy carpet in the reception was still there. As I made my way through the halls, I could feel eyes following me. Whispers carried a blend of curiosity and caution. I stepped into the elevator, pressed the button and rode to the 40th floor. I didn't go straight to the boardroom. I went to the factory floor first. Dad used to call it the heartbeat. Machines whirred, gears clicked, voices barked over the hum of engines. A technician in a blue jumpsuit, her name tag read Anna, was hunched over a sketch. "What are you working on?" I asked. She blinked in surprise, then smiled. "Energy-saving module. We've been requesting budget for it for months. It finally got approved." "Good," I nodded. "If it works, your team gets full credit." Her eyes lit up. That spark. That was the beginning of something real. 3 minutes before the meeting, I stepped into the executive room. 11 faces turned to look at me. Marcus was leaning back with his arms crossed. Danny was digging into her notebook so hard the paper might tear. Harold RCU calmly adjusted his glasses. This wasn't tension. It was resistance. Old empire clinging to rusted power. I buttoned my jacket. "I won't waste your time." I reviewed our internal audits and identified 3 critical problems: rigid hierarchy, wasted R&D, and ego-driven decisions. My solution is lean management, team-based innovation, and performance-linked rewards. I opened a slide. Profit margins dropped from 18% to 9% in 5 years. Benefit spending rose from 12% to 25%. The red downward line across the graph sliced the silence open. Marcus scoffed. You were gone during the pandemic, the supply chain crash, market collapse. Add that to your little graph. His voice was sharp, cold. I kept my tone steady. Everyone faced those. Some survived. Some didn't. I'm here to rebuild. I placed a folder on the table, 3 pilot projects. Employee profit sharing. Sustainable supply lines. Danny exhaled hard through her nose. You're selling a dream. But Harold stared at the numbers, then slowly said, these plans, they're financially solid. The math checks out. I support it. Anita, one of Dad's original hires, nodded. Me too. I asked for a vote. 8 hands rose for yes. 3 for no. The motion passed. 3 seconds of silence. Then it became official. It was you. My heart pounded in my chest like a war drum, but my face stayed calm. Marcus clenched his jaw. Danny rolled her eyes. They both knew the game had changed. After the meeting, Harold caught up to me in the hallway. Your father predicted this would happen someday, he said. Just be careful. Push too hard, too fast, people panic. I smiled. That's why I'll listen first. He shook my hand and walked off. Respect. Quiet. But real. That afternoon, I returned to the factory floor. I gathered the team, summarized the plan, and took questions. One man raised his hand. Will this profit sharing actually reach our paychecks? His eyes were tired. Hopeful. Yes, I said. Tomorrow's pay stub will include the breakdown. There were no cheers, just an exhale, like they'd been holding their breath for years. Back in my office, I checked my phone. A behind-the-scenes clip I uploaded to Revenge Tempest was exploding. Thousands of comments flooded in. The top one read, watching this story heal something in me. One day I'll have the courage to stand up to my family too. My eyes stung. I replied, the storm is already in you. It's just waiting. I decided to record a short message. Turned on my webcam. One line. If you ever prove them wrong, come back and tell us. Subscribe to Revenge Tempest. And comment what country you're watching from. Uploaded. 5 minutes later, comments rolled in. Watching from Brazil. Canada here. Storm rising. Nigeria. This hit deep. The office quieted as night fell. I turned off the lights. Looked out over the city. The boulevard lamps shimmered like distant stars. And I didn't feel like the outcast anymore. Not the overlooked kid. I felt like a man who stayed. A man who rebuilt brick by brick without rage. As I grabbed my coat, my phone buzzed. Marcus. Anita told me to hear you out. Coffee tomorrow. I typed slowly. 9 am. Corner K. Let's talk. Then. For the first time, I wasn't texting from memory. I was texting from possibility. And the wind I once feared? It wasn't howling to destroy me. It was clearing the rot. I wasn't living in the shadow of our name anymore. I was building one of my own. It wasn't revenge anymore. Not really. I thought it would be. I thought getting the company, earning the title, being in the room they once locked me out of, that it would feel like some kind of victory. But it didn't. It felt like breathing. Like after all these years I could finally stop holding my breath. 2 weeks later I hosted the first leadership roundtable. Internal staff only. No press. No speeches. Just voices that had gone unheard for too long. I asked them what wasn't working. What had been ignored. People hesitated at first. Then someone spoke. Then another. And another. It snowballed. Not complaints, truth. People just wanted to be seen. By the end, I realized this company didn't need a revolution. It needed restoration. After the meeting, I stayed behind. Sat alone in the empty conference room. My phone buzzed. A text. From Marcus. Coffee. I stared at it for a long time. We met the next morning. Quid café. Neutral ground. He showed up late as always. Sat down, didn't order anything. Look, he began, I was angry. Still am. But maybe not at you. I said nothing. He continued, Dad, he was never that open with me. I thought I had to be the one to hold it all together. And then he gave it to you. I finally spoke. He didn't give me anything. He saw I'd already built something even if none of you were looking. Marcus looked away. You were always different. I smiled. That used to feel like an insult. He actually chuckled. Not this time. We sat in silence. Then he reached into his pocket and slid over a folded photo. As kids. On the front steps. Him with his arm around me. I don't remember that day. But it looked real. I kept this, he said. Even when you left. My throat tightened. Thanks. When he left, I sat for a while staring out the window. Maybe healing doesn't come all at once. Maybe it just arrives in small, awkward conversations and unexpected memories. Later that week, Danny emailed me. Just one line, if you ever want to talk, I'll listen this time. I didn't reply right away. But I saved it. That was enough for now. If you're still here, if this story is sitting heavy on your chest, like maybe I'm speaking pieces of your own life, you're not alone. We built this channel, Revenge Tempest, for people like you. People who've been told their silence means nothing. But guess what? Silence isn't weakness. It's the waiting room of power. Hit that like button if you've ever had to swallow 1,000 things just to keep going. Comment, I'm still standing if you know what I mean. The storm is still building. The anniversary came faster than I expected. 1 year since my father's passing. 1 year since everything shifted. I didn't plan anything grand. No speeches. No ceremony. I just opened the office early, brought in donuts from the same corner shop he used to visit, and left a single photo on the break room table. Him, hammer in hand, building the first Ellis and Company sign by himself. A few people noticed it. One of the newer interns whispered, I didn't know he was that hands-on. I smiled. He was. When it mattered. Later that afternoon, I sat at his old desk. I hadn't used it all year. I preferred the conference space, but something pulled me there. In the bottom drawer was a notebook. One I hadn't opened yet. On the inside cover, legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's who keeps building when you're gone. I closed the drawer gently. The company was stable now. Better than stable, it was different. More human. Less fear. Marcus had taken a step back but stayed involved in small ways. Danny had pitched a marketing idea last week that actually worked. Things weren't perfect, but they were real. Me. I still walked to work. Still kept the guest room in the house. Still made coffee too strong and never remembered to buy new socks. But I no longer flinched when I saw my reflection in the office glass. I didn't see failure. I didn't see the kid they ignored. I saw the man who stayed. The man who rebuilt from silence. The man who didn't burn bridges, he reinforced them from the other side. So here's what I'll leave you with. Your value isn't measured by the people who couldn't see it. It's revealed by what you do when they stop watching. If they called you useless, invisible, a waste, good. Let them. You'll be too busy building something they can't take credit for. And if you ever forget who you are, come back here. Revenge Tempest is more than stories. It's a mirror. And right now it's reflecting you. Comment, I built my own name, if this story hit something you've been carrying for too long. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. Because this storm isn't ending. It's just getting louder.